Company, Confradia de Sinulog, our flag bearers, Miss Cebu 2016, Gabrielle Rain Baljak, and her court,
all of them just.
Arrange the stage. The venerable cardinals, bishops here, and then those there I did not see anymore. Look at their churches. How far is the sanctuary from the first pew? That speaks a lot about the culture. Aside from space, language. In the English-speaking world, you say the crack of dawn. Crack. In Filipino, we say, bukang liwayway. Not crack, but opening. And they say in Italian, un sole sorge. What does that reveal about culture? Heroes remembered and honored. In some cultures, they remember always their military heroes. In some cultures, their heroes are the boxing champions and the beauty queens. What does that say about a culture? The system of awards and punishment. Who are awarded? In some cultures, if you tell the truth, you are recognized. In some cultures, if you tell the truth, you are punished. What does that say about culture? Rituals, dancing, movements, food. In one gathering, I was asked whether I preferred salted or sweet snack. In other places, you have sweet and sour. It's not either or, it is and. In Asia, you have chopsticks Asia. You also have curry Asia. You also have banana leaf Asia. You see the culture based on food and also the sense of time. In Quebec and in Dublin, while I was doing my catechesis, periodically somebody would stand in front of me telling me 10 minutes left. 1 minute left. And then the next time we will turn off the microphone. Here, I don't think anyone would come in front of me. Nobody would dare. In other cultures, they will say, watch your time. In other cultures, they will say, take your time. Culture. And many others. I think that way of approaching culture would be more concrete and simpler, and it would help us even engage in individual and corporate examination of consciences. I see many of my brother priests here. Look at your room. Does it reflect a celibate culture? The way you arrange your beds and your things. You are celibate. Your bed should be single, not couple. With his own culture, but he offered a new way of living, thinking, of acting and speaking. How did he use and arrange space? Let the children come to me. He allowed a woman known as a public sinner to come close, to anoint him, and he touched a person with leprosy. A new use of space emerging from Jesus. His heroes, the centurion, the Syrophoenician woman, lonely, fisherman. His rituals, his meals. Oh, Jesus ate a lot. He was always in meals. But during those meals, he ate with those people that would never be invited to meals. Time. It is my Father who will determine my hour. Jesus is reshaping culture. In our contemporary time, there are many shapers of culture. The most obvious is the economic system. What is a good life? What is a comfortable life? Parents, when your child tells you, I want to pursue a degree in music, most likely, some parents will say, oh, you will not become rich as a musician. Enter into something else. Even the value system, what I will study, is dictated upon by the economic system, belonging to a group, exclusive clubs, gated subdivisions. Science, technology, social communications have been great movers and creators of culture these past decades. When I was much younger, very few people had a camera. And you had to buy films, 6 exposure, 12 exposures, so you chose the shot carefully. Now everyone has a camera embedded in the mobile phone. So everyone now is a photographer. And so when they say, may we have a photo with you, chances are, if there are 5 people, there will be 10 shots. Each one with his or her own camera, and each one saying, one more, one more, one more. Wars, ethnic and religious conflicts, natural calamities, typhoons, earthquakes, and the ensuing migration, the refugee crisis, are shaking the grounds of cultures, both of the displaced peoples and of the places of destination. Even as we speak right now, there is growing tension between the preservation of cultural identity and the welcome that we should afford people coming from other cultures. Many conflicts that harm our world today involve disconnectedness of cultures and even clashes of cultures. That is why dialogue is indispensable. And that leads me to dialogue. Are you still awake? Dialogue, a big term, especially for the churches in Asia. But how can we approach dialogue more simply and in the context of cultures, the way we have described cultures? Let us learn from the business world. Let us dialogue with the world of business. You know, in looking for managers and high-level administrators, business establishments and corporations set as one of the criteria what they call cultural intelligence. Cultural intelligence. IQ, what is IQ? It's intelligence quotient, and EQ, emotional quotient, are not sufficient anymore. Cultural intelligence is important. There are three components of cultural intelligence. First, I know my culture, and I know how my culture affects my attitudes, priorities, work ethic, and relationships. I don't only know my culture, I know how my culture has formed me and has affected me. You know, when I was a student in the United States, one day our professors gave out class notes, but somehow they did not reach me. So, as a Filipino, I did what every Filipino would do. I asked my classmate who was seated next to me to pass on to me the notes. And what did I do? The Filipinos would know that. Kalabit. To call his attention. And he said, "Hey, what are you doing?" Yes, what did I do? And I started groping for the English word. I calabitated you. Calabitized you. And I could not find a word in English. Maybe that action was a part of their culture. So from that time on, I was always in this position. They thought I was praying all the time. But it was to avoid this very normal, natural reaction on my part. Doing this. Don't do it now, please. So that's part of cultural intelligence. I know my culture and how it affects me. Secondly, I study and try to know from within the cultures of other people. So I begin to understand why they behave as they do. Understanding. And the third, I determine a path for my culture and their culture to learn from each other, to challenge each other, to purify each other. Hopefully the result is the affirmation of the beauty of each culture, the diversity of cultures, but now walking together towards the common good. Ultimately, cultural intelligence, CQ, IQ, EQ, CQ, is the capacity to engage in and facilitate dialogue. The church needs cultural intelligence. If it wants to dialogue with traditional and emerging cultures, we need that. I propose that even in seminary training, in the beginnings of formation in religious life, we should be aware of what we are doing to develop cultural intelligence. Because they develop somehow an ecclesiastical culture. When they go out to the parishes, another culture, and they don't know how to dialogue because there is no developed cultural intelligence. But dialogue grows with discernment. We should avoid the first danger, a facile or easy condemnation of values of other cultures that look strange to us. For all we know, they may contain elements of the Christian vision, but expressed in a different way. But we should avoid the second danger, which is accepting anything. We should refuse to recognize values that enjoy widespread social acceptance but are incompatible with the Christian vision. Now, why does the Church engage in dialogue with cultures? For mission. Mission. For the capacity of the Church to exist as an effective witness to the gospel before today's culture necessitates dialogue and cultural intelligence. We just cannot blame cultures or the enemies of truth within and outside the Church. If the gospel is to be a leaven of transformation, we need to know the gospel, but we also need to meet people in their cultures. We need cultural intelligence for the sake of the gospel and of humanity. Are we still together? Yes. So culture and dialogue. As a bridge to the second part, let me test the theme of our Eucharistic Congress. Christ in you, hope of glory. How do the other cultures outside of the Christian culture, how do they understand the theme of this Congress? Christ in you, the hope of glory. Of course, for us, we are affirming the presence of Jesus. Christ in us, especially in the Eucharist. Vatican II, in the Constitution on the liturgy, tells us that Jesus is present to the Church in the person of the minister, in the Eucharistic species, most especially the real presence, in the Word, in the praying community. Jesus is present. But how do you talk about presence, real presence, in a world shaped by virtual reality? Where is the real Chito Padre? There or here? Some of you prefer to look there. It seems that virtual presence is easier on the eyes than this one. Now, where is the real? May I know how many of you were already born with a cell phone, with the internet? that what we call the digital natives. I think most of us here are digital migrants. But we are moving into this culture. The migrant workers, the Filipino migrant workers, thanks to digital technology, have contact with their families through Skype, Facebook, text messages, and other digital means. Here in the Philippines, and I know elsewhere, many mass protest movements have been organized through social media. A community is being generated by cyber technology. Is that real? Is that virtual? Yet, the same digital world or culture has formed many young people to put prominence on image. Image is everything. So I should look good on Facebook. So what is the better angle? This or that? What is real? I want to be a celebrity. Even fundamentalist, violent tendencies and the recruitment to join these terrorist groups are happening on social media. Is that virtual? Is that real? Unfortunately, even exploitation through cyber sex. That's one culture that we have to contend with. The culture of the virtual, digital world. I would be very interested in a workshop on the real presence in a digital, virtual world. When we talk to young people about real presence, what enters their mind? The adoration chapel, the monstrance, the consecration, or a Facebook page. I was having a photo with someone who had said, "Cardinal, may we have a photo?" I said, "Sure." Then she said to me, "I am your friend." And I looked at her and said, "I don't know her." Then she said, "A friend on Facebook." I said, "Oh, okay. Is that a real friend?" I think, looking at my reaction, she immediately unfriended me. Now, is that real or virtual? But I have learned from experts in the digital culture that the term real for them means authenticity, integrity, credibility. When we dialogue with the culture of the virtual, they will look for authentic and the credible presence of Jesus in the minister, in our words, in our Christian community. We assert the real presence of Jesus. For those in a digital, virtual culture, that means I will look for a credible, believable, authentic manifestation of Jesus. With that, I turn to the second part. I will try to go to two. I have time only for two emerging cultures, and I will propose a way of Eucharistic dialogue with those cultures. The first is the culture of alienating individualism. And we propose the Eucharistic culture of convocation, gathering, communion in love. One of the great gifts of our time is the value placed on the individual human person. The appreciation of the person is good and necessary for society. This is what sociologists, psychologists call individualization. And that is important. Individualization prevents human beings from being reduced to mere spare parts of a big social machinery. Unfortunately, this healthy process of individualization has been pushed to an extreme called individualism, where the individual and the community become enemies. The individualistic culture takes the laissez-faire attitude that the individual reigns supreme and individuals can look after themselves. Look at the many books, self-help books. You can repair this by yourself. You can do this by yourself. Self-help. I don't need you. I can do it by myself. I don't know whether the culture of selfie. I don't need a photographer. I can do it by myself. Why am I raising my voice? But we have to be critical. We have to be critical about all of these things. In the culture of alienating individualism, the individual alone must achieve something in society. This culture protects individual rights, but does not sufficiently stress duties to other persons and to society. Individualism is fueled in the economic sphere by competitiveness rather than cooperation. And the educational system reinforces this with beautiful words: creativity, initiative, personalization. We need to be careful. What do we mean by those words? Now, the culture of individualism has social forms, for societies can also be individualistic. For example, ethnocentrism, nationalistic xenophobia, religious intolerance. It stigmatizes persons, discriminates against them, and sees strangers in a distorted recognition. The culture of individualism sets up barriers and relegates the unwanted to ghettos. The culture of individualism engages in scapegoating, blaming the ills of society on the stranger, the alien, the migrant, the refugee, the poor, the minority. The irony of it all is that this culture of individualism that wants to protect the individual is one of the causes of the disappearance of the individual. An individualist loses friends and neighbors, eventually becoming a nobody. An individualist inhabits a world that is so narrow that it does not have room for anyone, including himself or herself. Human persons are fulfilled both individually and socially, and at the same time. But we should also be critical of cultures that disregard legitimate individuality in the name of false communitarianism. I'm oversimplifying the description of the culture of individualism, but I leave it to your reflection. Let me turn to the Eucharist. The Eucharist offers an experience of another culture, the culture of convocation. Convocare. You are called with others. You are called to be with others. And you are called to be with others in a meal that the Lord hosts. When the Lord hosts a meal, be prepared to be with surprising others. But in the meal hosted by the Lord, persons recognize a close neighbor, a fellow sinner, a sister, a brother, with a place at the family table. In each one, I see myself. As I see a brother or sister, I also discover myself. Sinful but loved, undeserving but invited, shamed but embraced, lost but trusted. That was how Jesus hosted and participated in meals, by calling together the most unimaginable combination of people to a community, to become His family, His body, because He has convoked them. Remember how Jesus broke the isolation of those pushed aside by a culture of alienating individualism. Matthew, the tax collector, Zacchaeus, the sinful woman who washed the feet of Jesus, the centurion, the Syrophoenician woman, and recall the eternal isolation of the rich man who totally ignored the poor man, Lazarus. My dear brothers and sisters, let us begin the dialogue with the culture of alienating individualism in our homes. Restore the family meals. The basic unit of the meal is the table, the common table. Nowadays, the basic unit of the meal is my plate. And if I have my plate with food on it, I can go anywhere and eat it by myself. But that is not a meal. That is just eating. Individualistic persons know how to eat, but they don't know how to participate in a meal. May I ask ourselves here, are our sacraments and pastoral services accessible to the poor? Are our parishes welcoming to the deaf and other people with disabilities? Do the wounded, lost, shamed, humiliated, and despised find a family in our communities? And on the other hand, are individual gifts, opinions, and talents allowed to grow in our communities? Let me end this section with a story. When I was a parish priest in the 1990s, I invited some of the youth, the sick, the poor, the women, the people with disabilities, and the unknowns to come up to the altar so that their feet could be washed at the commemoration of the Lord's Supper on Holy Thursday. And by the way, last January 6, Pope Francis issued this directive that from now on, in the washing of the feet, the people of God must be represented. I know in some cultures, they even pass on to their children as an inheritance the sash. Andrew, Judas. That particular Holy Thursday, we invited a poor girl who regularly sold flowers and candles at the church grounds to be one of the 12. This girl had polio. She had to walk on crutches. Many people must have bought from her candles, flowers, without seeing her, without knowing her. But that evening, to commemorate the supper of the Lord, she processed to the altar, bearing the pains and sufferings of the poor and the lame. I will never forget how it felt to hold, to wash, and to kiss her foot, her limp and shriveled foot. It would be forever etched in my memory. I understood what Jesus meant when Peter refused to be washed, washing the shriveled foot of this girl. I felt she has become part of me, and I have become part of her. And her broken body has found its proper place within this family called the body of Christ. And a few hours after the Mass, she came to me, exuberant with the good news. Father, people flocked to me after the Mass, and they bought my flowers and candles. Then she asked me, will you wash my feet again next year? She is no longer just a polio-stricken flower and candle vendor. She has entered the community. The wall of alienation has been torn down at the supper of womanhood. Last October 2015, with a team from Caritas Internationalis, I went to a refugee camp in Idomeni, Greece, close to the border with the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. The thousands of tired, hungry, weary, dirty, confused, and anxious refugees from Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq. And we remember them, and the many, many other refugees from Asia and different parts of the world. They were longing not only for food, drink, shelter, and safety, but for hospitality and welcome. And in the midst of the tensions and commotion, I noticed an energetic lady, the vice mayor of Idomeni, who was managing the distribution of food. We were following her directions. During a pause, I asked her whether it was her job as vice mayor to manage the distribution of food. She said, "No, this is my volunteer work." Quite amused, I asked her, "Why do you need to volunteer? You already are a busy woman as vice mayor of the town." Her answer, brothers and sisters, my ancestors were also refugees. I have refugee DNA in my body. I will never forsake them. They are my brothers and sisters. She affirmed and lived the culture of convocation, of communion, at the table of the distribution of bread in a refugee camp. The isolation of the discarded in a broken world had found a family even for a fleeting moment. And finally, may I continue? Do I have time? I will watch my time. The second and final type of culture, what Pope Francis has been talking about, the throwaway culture. And what do we propose in the Eucharist? The culture of gift and sharing. In our time, we see a culture of achievement, of success. People are driven to work hard for self-advancement and for the good of their families. Human work that develops human talent and promotes social progress must be encouraged. The sad reality, however, is that human achievement is often fueled by materialism. The accumulation, the consumption of goods, even when they are not needed, becomes a badge of dignity. Competitiveness, inequality, and affliction emanate from this culture. Buying for the sake of having leads to throwing away. And we throw away goods that the poor should benefit from, but could not afford to buy. But is it not ironic that the culture of accumulation is also the culture of throwing away? Who has something to throw away? Only those who have accumulated. And they have accumulated what they do not need. As they say, the more you grow, the more you throw. You throw so that you can buy more, and you throw again. You throw what you were not able to consume. And what a scandal when many people live in the midst of trash discarded by others. And I appeal to you, dear brothers and sisters, when you send relief goods to victims of natural calamities, please do not send what you have thrown away. You are just decluttering your closet. Imagine, during the time of Ayan, Yolanda, as we were unpacking some of the donations, there was a wedding gown. Who would use a wedding gown? They were just throwing away unused clothing to the poor. In a culture of achievement for profit, a good life and success, we lose the sense of having been graced, having been gifted, having been blessed. Everything is my achievement. And because I have achieved this, I can dispose of it as I will. But you do not dispose and throw away a gift. If we are simple, if we live by restraint, we could go against the throwaway culture. But let us begin now. Husbands who are here, are you tempted to throw away your wife like a home appliance? She is a gift. Don't throw her away. Wives, are you about to throw away your husbands like junk? Think twice. Your husband is a gift. Parents, do you see in your son or daughter that gives you some difficulties a thing to be thrown away? Or do you see in him or her a gift of God? Mothers, do you consider the baby in your womb a burden or a problem to be thrown away, or a gift of life? Teachers, will you throw away slow learners among your students? Or will you treasure them as gifts? Especially when you are teaching in a Catholic school. Politicians, will you throw away people's taxes for your parties and shopping, or guard them as gifts for social service? My dear Reverend Novice Mistress, do you treat a rather unique novice as a problem to be thrown away, or a gift of mystery? How do you solve a problem like Maria? bishops. Do you see our rather independent-minded priests worthy of being thrown away, or as gifts providing collaboration? Priests, religious, and lay people, do you want to throw us, bishops, away? Believe it or not, even bishops could be gifts. The Eucharist responds to the throwaway culture with a culture of gift. You never throw away important gifts, bread and wine, gifts of God, gifts of the earth, gifts of human hands, will become the gift of Jesus' presence, a gift of presence. But mind you, the Bible is filled with people who were thrown away. Joseph, thrown away and sold by his brothers. David, threatened to be thrown away by King Saul. Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist, thrown away into hiding during her pregnancy. Joseph and Mary, thrown away to the manger by closed doors. Jesus, thrown away by the jealousy and fear of power-hungry politicians, thrown away by self-righteous religious leaders, and finally thrown away by the betrayal and denial of friends. All of them were thrown away by an unfriendly world, but God took them in His gentle hands and gives them to us as His gifts. On the night Jesus was betrayed, on the night when all forces were conspiring to throw Him away, He gave Himself as a gift of love. No one takes my life from me. I lay it down on my own. Beware, what you throw away will return as God's gift to us. Christine Sunakor rightly observes, it is incongruous to delight in Jesus' Eucharistic body if we throw away into invisibility some who make up the body of Christ. And then we read quickly some of the questions she raises for our examination of conscience. A useful starting point, according to her, might be to inquire, where do our sacramental bread and wine come from? Has the flour been produced by migrant or even slave labor? Is the wine imported from a winery that employs workers without paying them a living wage and thus prompting them to cross borders to survive? And the catered food and dishes for synods, conventions, assemblies, conferences, and passport functions in metropolitan hotel chains, who cooks and who cleans up afterwards? And what about the shoes, ties, hats, gloves, shirts, and dresses called Sunday best? Who makes them? And who dry cleans them? Are they brothers, sisters, or just invisible, expendable migrants and refugees, disregarded as pawns on the chessboard of humanity. End of quote. To the many people who arrange the streets here before we come every morning and who stay behind while we are probably already sleeping in our hotels, thank you. To those who are preparing our food early morning and who clean up after us and stay till the late hours of the night, thank you. For the drivers who wait for hours to pick us up and to take us back home, missing their families and their meals, thank you. You make this Eucharistic Congress truly a culture of Eucharistic love. I close now, promise. Let me close by returning to the refugee camp in Ikomene. Before leaving the camp, I went back to the Caritas desk to thank the volunteers. But then I saw a new set of volunteers, a very small group, a young couple with a baby, a family. I asked them where they came from. They said, "We are from Australia, but we were born in the Philippines." So I excitedly declared, "Hey, I'm also Filipino." And the woman said, "Yes, you look familiar. I see your photograph everywhere." I said, "Yes, yes, yes." And then I asked them, "What are you doing here?" The answer, "We are with a group touring Greece. But we heard about this refugee camp. We decided to cut short our tour, leave the group, and serve the refugees even for a day." That couple with a child is a wonderful gift. I believe that for every piece of bread, every bottle of water, for every smile they gave, the refugees would not feel like trash, thrown away as rubbish on the rough seas and lands, but as gifts to be treasured. Let us behold Jesus in the Eucharist. Let us allow Him to form in us a community of neighbors, brothers and sisters. No more barriers, only bridges. Let us allow Him to open our eyes to see in creation, in persons, in the poor, the discarded, but truly gift of God. No one thrown away, only gifts to be treasured. This culture of communion and gift shared will make a Eucharistic community a real, a credible presence of Christ in the cultures of the world and provide the world a reason to hope. Christ in us, our hope of glory. Thank you very much.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Peace be with you. Brothers and sisters, let us acknowledge our sins and so prepare ourselves to celebrate the sacred mysteries. I confess to Almighty God. Dear brothers in priesthood, dear brothers and sisters in Christ. It's a great joy for me to celebrate together with you the great saint of the love of Jesus Christ, the Eucharist. We arrived from Budapest with a Hungarian delegation, from a country where the majority of the people are Christian, but there is also a great secularism and individualism, where a number of people live only for the comfort of the moment, from a country which is not very poor, but not too rich, from a country where hopelessness and depression are greatest temptations. In 2007, we held a mission in the city of Budapest. The motto came from the prophet Jeremiah, to give you a future and a hope. I see with the utmost joy that Here in the Philippines, there are a lot of young people that they participate in immense numbers in celebrating the Eucharist. Christians, the disciples of Christ, make one community all over the world. The hope and joy of our brethren is a great encouragement for us. In our world, noise, dispersion, and the rapidness of our lives is what kills hope in us. If we think that the greatest goal of our lives is just to feel good in the present moment, then we think neither of God, nor of our fellow creatures, nor of our future. We don't feel responsibility for the others, for our family, our nation, and all humankind. Then we will fall into the trap of individualism, as Pope Francis said in his famous speech in Strasbourg. But then we will see our future with fear. We will be afraid that we will feel worse in the future. We will feel illness and death, which will come to all of us. We will be similar to the Gentiles, of whom the Apostle Paul says, "But we would not have you ignorant, brethren, concerning those who have gone to their rest, that you may not grieve as others who don't have hope." Early Jewish thought includes the idea that one can help the deceased in the intermediate state through prayer. The equivalent practice was greatly adopted by Christians and is common to Eastern and Western Church. The souls of the departed can receive solace and refreshment through the Eucharist, prayer and almsgiving. The belief that love can reach into the afterlife, that reciprocal giving and receiving is possible, in which our affection for one another continues beyond the limits of death. This has been a fundamental conviction of Christianity throughout the ages, and it remains a source of comfort today. Who would not feel the need to convey to their departed loved ones a sign of kindness, a gesture of gratitude, or even a request for pardon? It is Christ who creates a community among the people. With his birth, he made humankind one family. And it is he who, through his death and resurrection, gave us eternal life and happiness. In the most ancient Eucharistic prayers, the emphasis is on giving thanks. In the Holy Mass, we say today, "Let us give thanks to the Lord our God." We give thanks because he became man, he was born, he suffered and died to liberate us from suffering and death. The Church, with this thanksgiving, introduces us to the work of Christ during the Last Supper. "This is my body, this is my blood." Celebrating the Holy Mass is also the adoration and reception of the body and blood of Christ. This expresses our thanksgiving and joins us to the sacrifice of Christ and his glorified life. This gives a perspective, goal, and hope to our lives. This is the source of our joy. The motto of the Congress are the word of the Apostle Paul from his letter to the Colossians. "Christ in you is the hope of glory." What is his glory? And what does it mean that Christ is in us? Is he among us? Is he in our community? Or is he inside us, in our hearts? The Apostle Paul asserts many times that if Christ is in us, our bodies are dead to our sins, and our spirits are alive because our righteousness. In this sense, the glory is eternal life. If Christ lives inside us, already on this earth, then he will not abandon us even in death, but will give us life and a share in God's life and plans. That is his glory. But here, in the letter to the Colossians, the stress seems to be on the community. The letter to Colossians says, just before the sentence, that he wants to reveal God's mystery even to the Gentiles. In this sense, the Christ, who appears among men through us, Christians, is the hope of eternal joy for every man. When Christ said to his disciples, "You are the salt of the earth," he seemingly speaks about the same mission. The vocation of Christians is to give a good taste to the world. That is to show that the life of man is not an aimless drifting along, but it has a goal, a meaning. The whole history of mankind is in the perspective of the love of God. But since we are the salt of the earth, we have to protect the world from decay. We have to repose righteousness for righteousness ones, for whose sake, in view of the merits of Christ, God will show mercy to the world. So Christ among us is the hope of glory, not only for us, but for all humankind. Christ is the hope of glory. Jesus of Nazareth was a real historical person. In him, the disciples recognized the Christ, the Messiah, the Liberator sent by God. Christianity is not simply philosophical, but it is connected to the historical person of Jesus Christ. We are his disciples. If we accept him in faith as our Messiah, as our Savior, that is, as the Christ, this is what gives hope to mankind. For the man of today to contact Christ, we must propagate him openly. We must speak about him. We have to say his name, and we have to confess our faith. I come from a country which was under communism for a long time. There were family men who had to decide between their faith and their jobs. If they confessed their faith, they lost their jobs. And sometimes they also ended up in prison. And these men were often puzzled to see that some people, for the comfort of the family, would abandon and renounce their faith. And it often happened that, and this remains in the memory of many families, the puzzled man was asked by his family and his wife to remain faithful to Christ, even if they might lose their livelihood. They would be able to look at their father with respect, knowing that there is a merit which is much greater than life on earth. They might go in need, but they will not lose hope and trust in Almighty God and in eternal life. Dear brothers and sisters, this is the hope which is needed today. The world needs Christ. The world needs us if we belong to Christ. Amen.
Wir beten insbesondere für eine friedvolle Entschlossenheit und Lösung andauernder Konflikte in Ländern, wo Krieg herrscht. dass ihre Beziehungen gekennzeichnet werden durch Demut, Barmherzigkeit, Einsicht und beidseitiger Vergebung. We pray.
교회의 힘을 위하여 봉사하는 모든 그리스도인과 비그리스도인들을 위하여 기도하니 그들이 성체 성사의 요청으로 더욱 성실히 봉사하게 하소서. We pray.
Para sa dagiti awan pagtaingan na, dagiti agbubugso, agrigriga, magungundawayan, na ibalo, dagiti maitutugod, gapu iti pamati, dagiti napagtalaw, gapu kadagiti gubat, ken nariribo, maniliwanag ma, masalwanan na kuma, ken mawaya-wayaan na kuma. Let us pray to the Lord.
Para haton, mga nanghiguna na haapon, base kataganirahan iluo, kinabuhi nga dayon, ng mga upa kalangitnon. Let us pray to the Lord.
To help us, sustain us, protect us, save us by your grace, that we may be one just as you are one, for all glory, honor, and worship are yours, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, now and forever. handed himself over to death, and did not disdain to be nailed for our sake to the wood of the cross. But before his arms were outstretched between heaven and earth to become the lasting sign of your covenant, he decided to celebrate the Passover with his disciples. As he ate with them, he took bread, and giving you thanks, he said the blessing, broke the bread, and gave it to them, saying, "Take this, all of you, and eat of it, for this is my body, which will be given up for you." In a similar way, when supper was ended, knowing that he was about to reconcile all things in himself through his blood to be shed on the cross, he took the chalice, filled with the fruit of the vine, and once more giving you thanks, handed the chalice to his disciples, saying, "Take this, all of you, and drink from it. For this is the chalice of my blood, the blood of the new and eternal covenant, which will be poured out for you and for men for the forgiveness of sins. Do this in memory of me." And looking forward to his blessed coming, we offer you, who are our faithful and merciful God, this sacrificial victim who receives to you the human race. Look kindly, most compassionate Father, and those you unite to yourself by the sacrifice of your Son, and grant that by the power of the Holy Spirit, as they partake of his one bread and one chalice, they may be gathered into one body in Christ, who heals every living.
We praise you to give us always in communion of mind and heart, together with Francis our Pope and Jose our Bishop. Help us to work together for the coming of your kingdom, until the hour when we stand before you, saints among the saints, in the halls of heaven, with the Blessed Virgin Mary, Mother of God, with the Blessed Joseph, her spouse, the blessed apostles, and all the saints, and with our deceased brothers and sisters, whom we humbly commend to your mercy. Then, freed at last from the wounds of corruption, and made free into a new creation, we shall sing to you with gladness the thanksgiving of Christ, who lives for eternity.
Through him and with him and in him, O God, Almighty Father, in the unity of the Holy Spirit, all glory and honor is yours forever and ever. At the Savior's command and formed by divine teaching, we dare to say, grant peace in our place, that by the help of your mercy we may be always free from sin and safe from all distress, as we await the blessed hope and the coming of our Savior Jesus Christ. Lord Jesus Christ, who said to your apostles, "Peace I leave you, my peace I give you," look not on our sins, but on the face of your church, and graciously grant her peace and unity, in accordance with your will, who live and reign forever and ever. The peace of the Lord be with you always.
Crushed before them.
Nanunglungkot, magkul anon kami nga mobiya ninyo. We will take leave of our dear Filipino brothers and sisters. What a great host you are. What a great experience. For the last 7 days, you made us all proud to be Catholics. You broke the bread of hospitality, warmth, and your smile. You are apostles of smiling. How can we forget your meticulous organization? How can we forget the warmth, the smile, the dance, the piety, and the fellowship of all of you? What a deep experience of a table fellowship. Last 7 days, we were on the top of the mountain, Mount Table of Eucharistic celebrations. Eucharist is a transforming encounter with the living God. As Vatican II says, Eucharist was our source and summit of our faith. After the intense experience on the Mount Table, the disciples had to return. We need to return to our daily life. What is the fruit of the Eucharistic Congress? Renewed apostolic and missionary zeal. Eucharist is the source and goal of our mission. Today, Christ is embedded in each one. Christ in us, the hope of glory. In blessing CEBU with this Eucharistic Congress, Pope Francis directed that the Church, through the supreme mystery of the Eucharist, be renewed in apostolic and missionary zeal. Ite Messias, we need to go. The very word Mass tells us, go and proclaim the Christian hope to every soul. The world sees hopelessness everywhere. Philippines needs hope. The church needs hope. Our families need hope. The world today needs a four-letter word, H-O-P-E. Nanginahanglang ang Pilipinas ug palaum. Nanginahanglang ang simbahan ug pakalaum. Nanginahanglang ato kabanayang ug palaum. Church is not an income-generating agency. Church is a hope-generating fellowship. Last 1 week, the Eucharist of Hope was celebrated with that was done in an admirable way. Those of us who were fortunate enough to be with the Filipino church, we are energized in the Christian hope. The biggest Catholic country in Asia holds great hope. I do not deny the challenges, poverty, unsafe migration, etc. But this nation holds great promises to Catholic world. This is the third biggest Catholic nation after Brazil and Mexico. Filipinos and Filipinas, be proud that you remain a favorite daughter of the Church in Asia. But within 10 years, you will be the eldest daughter of the Catholic Church. This grace comes with challenges and opportunity. Today's first reading from the book of Jeremiah tells you the great nation of Philippines. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I dedicated you. A prophet to the nations, I appoint you. I am with you. Are you Filipinos and Filipinas willing to take up the challenge? Everyone here, a prophet to the nations. Philippines, Filipinos, Filipinas, the star from the east, rejoice. Your time with destiny has arrived. You will be the chosen one, not only for Asia, but for the world in this millennium. The Philippine Church, then, is a source of hope in a special way, precisely Christ in you, the hope of glory among the people of Asia. As the two popes, Paul VI in 1970 and John Paul in 1995 articulated, are you ready?
1995.
The youth of Philippines, are you ready to be the small of Tarsus of the millennium to this world?
Yes.
Andang napakamo. Many of us come from countries. Christianity is a big challenge. Churches are empty. Vocations dying out. Christianity, they say, is in the twilight zone. Take heart, my brothers and sisters from those countries. Filipinos can turn those twilight zones into exciting dawn of new Christianity. Filipinos, go, multiply your missionaries, multiply your children. Go and populate those countries where Christianity is becoming minorities. Go to countries that have more pets, more dogs and cats than the children. Mga Filipino, paramihin ninyo ang inyong mga anak. Maramihin ninyo ang inyong mga misyonero. Pupunta kayo sa Europa at Amerika. Doon wala silang mga bata. Marami sila aso at pusa.
Aso at pusa. Neko to inu ga ippai aru kuni toka ne.
Show what it means to be a true Eucharist fellowship. Philippines, Christ in you is a reality, and that is the hope of glory for the church. We who came from all the corners of the earth go back in hope because you have a strong faith as a bread to be broken with the world. On this day, last day, Statio Orbis, I do not want to give a great theological treatise on Eucharist. Those were done admirably last 7 days by worthy speakers. Today, I want to talk in simple words to the people, especially to the families and the young, bringing in mercy and love as the core values of the Eucharist. Family, Christ in you is the hope of glory. The Bible opens with the great event of marriage. God the Father seemed to get the family started with great haste. World started with families, not priests and nuns. God the Father did not create a Reverend Father Adam nor Reverend Sister Eve. He created man and woman, blessed them to be united, and give one simple command: go and multiply. It is not just the children. Go and multiply, like the 5 loaves multiplied to 5,000. Go and multiply the joy to the world. Eucharistic theology is so ingrained into the ideal of family. Families are the living bread that are offered on the altar in communion with other families in the Mass. The Eucharist is sown and grown in the family. The family is the first communion. The family is the nuclear church. Table fellowship is held regularly in the family. Family breaks the bread every day, not only in the Philippines, but all over the world. The family needs to be protected and promoted and nurtured. Death of the family is the death of humanity. Pope Francis has been concerned the last 3 years with 3 major dangers to the world: the environmental injustice, economic injustice. But the greatest danger to humanity today is the destruction of the family. Sadly, even among the Catholic Church, understanding of the family is contested. Attempts to refine the family, redefine the definition of parents have gained strong appeal in rich countries. Human rights discourse in the international forums is getting polluted. Asia and Africa struggle with families that are poor, that are oppressed. Rich countries have diverted the attention of poverty and oppression with the great discourses in the new forms of families, new forms of parenthood. More than any nuclear bomb, more than any terrorism, a mortal danger awaits humanity because some countries have chosen a path of destroying families through laws. After the Eucharistic Congress, what do we expect? For Africa and Asia, we are looking for the bread of economic justice, the bread of environmental justice. Poor countries are victims of an unjust global order. Poverty to us is the greatest terrorism. Loss of land is our anguish. We need to deal with that. But when we are drawn into international meeting, there is a deliberate attempt to divert the attention of the survival rights of the poor over the lifestyle of rights of the rich countries. Eucharistic is a food, memory of the Paschal meal, a liberating meal, a meal of salvation. Catholic Church returns to the family. When it celebrates Eucharist, it celebrates the per capita dignity of every family. Enough food, a decent income, ability to send their children to school. It is the manna in the desert. It is the food that comes from heaven. This Congress needs to end with a strong resolve to strengthen Catholic families, uphold the priesthood of the laity. Catholic families, Christ in you, you are the hope of glory. The future of the Church depends on Catholic family. That you accept and bless these gifts, these offerings, these holy and unblemished sacrifices. Take this, all of you, and eat of it. For this is my body, which will be given up for you.